Another group of the conditions, again majority of the patients, is the depression. It's just the other way of the anxiety, which is considered as Vishada, and Vishada is a Vataja Nanatmaja Vyadhi. In the Vataja Nanatmaja Vyadhi, Vishada is one of the listed conditions according to Ayurveda. And the depression is often presented with the presentation of a depressed mood. It could be both in children as well as adolescents. In children, it could be presented as irritability, whereas in adults, it could be a depressed mood as such. And it's always also can be presented as a diminished interest in pleasure activities, any of the pleasure activities, or any other activity, almost all activities, where the person would be just inactive. Weight change, appetite disturbance also can be presented as the depression. In children, it could be presented as a abnormal weight gain also, or failure to gain the gain weight also can be a presentation of the depression. It can present with the sleep disturbances, insomnia or hyperosmia, both hypersomnia, like either increased sleep or reduced sleep, could be the presentation of depression. A psychomotor agitation, where the person would be having tremors or uncontrolled movements, also can be presentation of the depression. A feeling of fatigue, the most common rather clinical symptom would be of a feeling of fatigue and a feeling of worthlessness, diminished ability to concentrate, indecisiveness. These also can be the presentation of the depression. Recurrent thoughts of death, suicidal ideation also can be a presentation of the depression. To differentiate it from other causes which can present with the similar symptoms would need some experience, and you need to be careful about the history in such patients. In general, I would consider, without going into detail of each of the symptoms, in case of the depression, my approach to the treatment would be, because I consider this Vataja Nanatmaja Vyadhi, if it is about the medical prescriptions, I would be prescribed 𝐻𝐿𝐼 𝐶𝐻 or Shirodhara and the Basti are the other options of the treatment I would try there. As in case of the anxiety, majority of the patients with the other diseases who come to us would have the depression as a symptom. So rather it is the other way, like majority of the patients who have other illness, either they have anxiety, and about 40 to 50% of the patients may have the depression as the accompanying illness as such. So the treatment, instead of going for individual causes, I would be preferring the treatment for the depression in the form of a general approach to the Vata Vyadhi, and my prescription would be 𝐻𝐿𝐼 𝐶𝐻 or the Shirodhara or the Basti, depending upon the patient's other presentations and the otherwise the reason as the situations permit. Now, there is, as in case of the anxiolytic drugs, the antidepressants also would have a large amount of common the adverse effects, and that's an area where we can definitely have some Ayurvedic approach to the management. The most common, my purpose is not to go into the pharmacology and the other issues of these antidepressant drugs. The commonly prescribed antidepressant drugs are sertraline, fluoxetine, etc. And the most common adverse effect which we see would be nausea, increased appetite or weight gain, loss of sexual desire, or even where it could be erectile dysfunctions. These are major clinical symptoms produced due to antidepressant drugs, fatigue, insomnia, dry mouth, so on. The major problem in the patient clinical practice would be whether it is really the primary symptoms of the depression or whether it is produced as an adverse effect of the drugs would be quite difficult to make out. But in general, a patient who is on antidepressant drug for a duration of more than 3 months and having these symptoms, I would consider them as the adverse effects of the antidepressants, and I would try to stop them. maybe wherever possible. Of course, when I say that stop these drugs, there is a condition wherever possible. Certain of the patients who are already becoming dependent on these antidepressant drug, it will be quite difficult to stop them abruptly. So, stopping these antidepressant drug, the decision has to be case specific, which needs a elaborate aspect. But when it is due to the other adverse effect, the treatment would be, again, I don't have a specific general management for this. The treatment will be according to the clinical presentation, like nausea and so on. My prescription will be 𝘕𝑦𝘐𝐿 for a short duration. Insomnia and so on, I will be dealing with without any specific management for these conditions. It would be just like counseling, the usual, not much of a difference between the management of the anxiolytic drug effects and the antidepressant effects, but Ayurvedic approach to the management on the same lines would have a excellent effect as well. Now, next group of the conditions, common conditions related to the psychiatry which we see would be insomnia. Now, a textual definition of insomnia is defined as a repeated difficulty with the sleep initiation, maintenance, consolidation, quality of sleep as quality of the sleep is the one of the important issue in deciding whether a person has insomnia or not. Now, whether a person has really insomnia or not, because most of the persons would always feel that the sleep is inadequate, either due to his lifestyle or otherwise. To confirm whether it's really to be considered as a sleep abnormality or otherwise, the current protocol is to assess the sleepiness scale. This is where you measure the quality of the sleep. It's not the duration of the sleep. The quality of the sleep is assessed by assessing whether the person would be feeling sleepy in the awakened stage or not. To confirm, the popular method adopted is Epworth sleepiness scale, and that Epworth sleepiness scale is based upon a questionnaire like whether you feel sleepy during sitting and reading. Now, depending upon the incidence, the patient would be giving a score of 0 to 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And when you feel sleepy when watch the TV, when you sleepy sitting inactive in a public place, sleeping as a passenger in a car for an hour without a break, lying down to rest in the afternoon when circumstances permit, sitting and talking to someone, sitting quietly after a lunch without alcohol, or in a car while stopped. This is the standard questionnaires which are mentioned. Of course, one questionnaire which can be added is whether you feel sleepy hearing a speech, or in the CMA, how many of you are really feeling sleepy or not, also can be a questionnaire added on. If the score given by a person is more than 10, it's definitely considered to be as an abnormality related to quality of the sleep, and the general idea is the person needs to be having an intervention for improving the sleep. This is the general protocol which is followed in the psychiatric practice. Now, suggestions according to the standard practice of psychiatry, the interventions in sleep abnormality, the best of the recommendation is non-pharmacological. And among the non-pharmacological recommendations, there are 5 steps or 5 protocols which are mentioned, and they are: the first is sleep hygiene, and the sleep hygiene is a simple, very issue. Now, my purpose of referring to these issues is to say to show you how the things are very simple issues which are presented in a very complex manner. So, sleep hygiene, the only thing is you have to maintain a regular sleep routine. That time of the sleep has to be maintained. Avoid daytime naps, sleeps in between, and don't stay in bed awake for more than 5 to 10 minutes. Don't watch TV, use the computer in the bed. Drink caffeinated drinks, any of coffee or tea, or whether you drink them, drink with the caution. Avoid inappropriate substances that interfere with the sleep, like any of the medicines, drugs which can affect the sleep. They should not be. Clean, fresh air. Have a quiet, comfortable bedroom. These are the standard given for the maintenance, which are categorized as a sleep hygiene. Then there is another which are suggested as a cognitive behavioral therapy, where you will give a structured program to a person to control the thoughts and behaviors that cause the sleep asset. Is a sort of counseling which is suggested as a standard protocol. Relaxation therapy like massage and deep breathing, meditation, yoga, biofeedback, music therapy, aromatherapy, these are all the other standard practices. Stimulus control therapy is use the bed only when for sleeping and sexual activity, no reading TV, etc. in the bed. Go to bed only when you feel sleepy, or if unable to fall asleep in 15-20 minutes, get out of the bed to do something relaxing until sleepy. These can be repeated as often as needed. These are all the recommendations which are the standard protocols used in psychiatric practice. And then last is sleep restriction therapy. Sleep restriction therapy is on the fact that excessive time in the bed often perpetuates the insomnia. Limiting the time spent in bed leads to more efficient sleep. I think when a person comes to you with a disturbed sleep, instead of going to these complex words as gimmicks of the words as a simple suggestion like only go to bed only when you feel sleepy and avoid daytime sleeping. And the best advice is you exert yourself, do the exercise, and once the body is exerted, naturally you will have the sleep. So these are the recommendations which I give, and I would always prefer to avoid the sleep-inducing drugs or sedatives. Then again, with the sedatives also, there are large number of people who have become dependent to sedatives like diazepam and diazepam derivatives, and withdrawal of those sedative drugs is another practical problem. Adverse effects of the sedatives also are quite a common asset. In the practice, I have seen persons who are on sedatives for a long time, it will be practically difficult to withdraw them, because once you withdraw the drug, definitely yes, initially for at least 1 or 2 weeks, the person would have difficulty in maintaining up to sleep, and in that condition, none of our medicinal treatment can alter that or can replace that. Only when the person is capable of making a decision like he should avoid, then only it is possible to avoid. Otherwise, most of these patients who have become dependent on a sedative, it will be quite difficult to withdraw them. But in my practice, I would always try to avoid them, and when it is inevitable, I just leave it to the patient. And most of the best of the advice, instead of these sedatives, best of the advice to the patient would be very comprehensive, like don't go to the sleep when you do not feel sleepy, and exert yourself, have some food which is not really irritative, like spicy food has to be avoided, and then of course the mental activity, yoga and pranayama, and having this, avoiding TV, these are the best of the suggestions for insomnia than really going for a specific treatment to induce the sleep asset.